For the past few years, the Caribbean witnessed a number of withdrawals of Canadian banks as well as growth among credit unions. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy N.J. Antwine, addressed both issues during a recent interview with journalist Kalistra Farie. Governor Antwine said one influenced the other, as a big change in the financial landscape has forced the foreign banks out of the region, leaving the financial space dominated by indigenous banks and credit unions.
Today, when you look at the financial landscape, we're not just talking about banks, we're also talking about credit unions. And in fact, the credit unions, so here's the thing. Indigenous banks are doing what the Canadian banks used to do. Credit unions are doing what some indigenous banks used to do. So there is choice. There is choice. Here's the thing. Look at mortgage rates in Grenada now. The typical loan, a mortgage, say a 20-year mortgage, would range from a low of 4% to maybe 6.5%. Kalistra, that is a lower rate than you get in the United States right now. Competition amongst our banks and financial institutions have driven down interest rates, including for mortgages, and I gave that as an example. So all I'm saying is that while I understand the concern about the rapid change in the banking landscape, I'm also saying that there is adequate competition, maybe a little less choice, but adequate competition amongst the bank, in fact, fierce competition to get customers. And that has redounded to the benefit of the people of Grenada and our region because you're getting lower rates.
The governor addressed the ongoing issue that credit unions don't operate under the same regulations as banks and are now offering services that mirror commercial banks. Attempts have been made to come to an amicable regulation of the situation. However, Governor Antwine says the credit union movement needs to come together to decide whether or not they want to operate under the same regulations as banks.
You see, there are different views in the movement about the way forward. So I speak to credit union leaders all the time. And there are progressive leaders who will say, we recognize that we're doing more. In Grenada, credit unions control 1.2 billion in assets, about $1 billion almost in loans. I haven't checked recently, but I think 50,000 people are members of credit unions. That's how big the thing is. So these people recognize, given the importance of credit unions, given their increasing size and scale, they need to make sure that they are at the top of the game and they be given the requisite oversight and also support. Then there are those who say, no, too fast. They want to treat us as banks. We're not banks.
The governor added that if credit unions want to be operating as commercial banks, they must also be open to the same scrutiny and regulations as those banks.
If you want to play in the big league, the Premier League, because as far as I'm concerned, credit unions are no longer in the Bush League, they're in the Premier League, then they have to expect a higher level of officiating. I also believe that they should get support from the central bank to help them to realize the biggest potential and impact for customers. If they want to be a connected international system, that comes with certain responsibilities, like the issue of combating money laundering and terrorist financing, like the issue of dealing with the risking or correspondent banking relations. You can't ignore those things as they cut you off.
For GBN News, Beverly Tellisford.